Rangers 13-8 challenge J. Schaben, TNS Los Angeles Dodgers starting pitcher Clayton Kershaw reacts to after the Miami Marlins Miguel Rojas hit a 3-run home run in the 5th inning at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles on Wednesday, April 25, 2018. Kershaw was placed on the disabled list with biceps tendinitis. Alan J. Schaben, Los Angeles Times, TNS by Evan Grant, staff writer at Evan. P_Grant. Here we go with another edition of. Also, when does the org move on from JD? The Oder deal alone would have cost him his job in many orgs, much less Chew, etc. Keep up the good work, Randall Beasley, at Randall Beasley, May 21, 2018. Me, since I'll answer the first part of the question in a moment, let's tackle the second part here. My answer would be, not until sometime during or after his next contract, at the earliest. Yes, you heard that right. I expect an extension is coming for Daniels and expect it will come down either just before or just after the draft. He has made some mistakes, but all GMs do. Dave Dombrowski, John Schuerholz, Pat Gillick. Any GM who has been on the job a while has made mistakes, some heinous ones, too. But this ownership group believes in him and isn't reactive in its decision-making. They feel they have a good GM in Daniels, they delegate baseball operations to him and they basically stay out of things, save for setting payrolls. Now, no GM gets more than 2 rebuilds at any one place. Daniels rebuilt the Rangers in 2006-08 and put together a team that played past game 162 6 times from 2010 to 17. He has overseen the most successful era in Rangers history and it's not really even close. He's done it while there have been significant governors put in place on how teams could acquire young talent, caps on international and draft bonuses. I think, save for teams with unlimited funds, Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs and maybe Dodgers, I think the ability to build a similar 10-year run is going to be severely hampered. Daniels will get a second chance to rebuild now. What is going to be paramount in this rebuild is development of pitching. If there is one area in which the Rangers, as an organization, have struggled under Daniels, it is in developing a nucleus of homegrown starting pitchers. They must get better. He will be given that chance. Can you be more specific? Not focused in BP? Doesn't take fielding practice. What? Mark Roberts, at Mark44 Roberts, May 21, 2018. Me, by habits. I mean nothing other than hitting approach. To boil it all down, it essentially means, be less stubborn. What we in the media have heard from Oder since his slump began last year was he just needed to keep doing what he was doing. It became clear that, no, he didn't. It's not working. Big swings and lack of recognition of breaking balls is not a good combo. I think what we've seen in the last couple of days, a double to the gap in right center, a couple of bunt attempts, those all suggest that perhaps he is recognizing he needs to better recognize what it is he did really well in 2014, after his 2015 demotion and again in 2016. At his best, he attacks sinking fastballs and can also run well, which is why the bunt can be a weapon for him. Find the sinker and hit it hard. Eliminate everything else. Why? Here are his batting average numbers since the start of 2017 against the 4-seam fastball, .193, changeup, .151 and slider, .141. If he doesn't show an ability to adjust come mid-June when both Elvis Andrus and Adrian Beltre are back in the lineup, the Rangers may have 2 guys, Jurickson Profar and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who merit the playing time more. Difficult exercise made even more difficult by the sheer numbers of pitchers the Rangers will need. Let's start with the guys they can control, Mike Minor and Martin Perez. And even that's no guarantee. Minor could be a trade target this summer. There is no guarantee the Rangers will pick up Perez's option. But for these purposes, let's assume both are here. Okay, now, for the homegrown guys, let's go with Joe Palumbo, who should be back from Tommy John surgery this summer and could be a fast mover next year, and Michael Matuellet, who should be at AA before the end of this year and could move fast given his age, 24 on June 3rd. Brett Martin or Yohander Mendez or Ariel Jurado could also figure in the mix. But probably, at best, you have two of this group of five. That leaves room for one free agent, and I'll go with Clayton Kershaw, though, man, it looks riskier given his cranky back. But he's the best pitcher of this generation, and if I'm gonna gamble big dollars, it would be on him. As a traveling beat writer, can you share with us one of your all-time favorite airport stories? July of 1997, I had been at the morning news only 6 months and we had seemingly unlimited resources. I was sent to Midland to do a story on a young Rangers prospect named Fernando Tatis, who was there with the AA Tulsa. Was told to just go catch a flight. Spent 2 days there. Got on commuter flight coming back home. About 20 minutes in, the cabin starts to get, shall we say, a little smoky. I figured that was the end for me. Turns out it was an air conditioner wire that had shorted out. Nothing too serious. But we make an emergency landing in Abilene. And then we're told that there was no plane until much later that afternoon or evening. I was supposed to cover the Rangers in Arlington. So, I rented a car and made the trip back to DFW, where I had parked my car. Get to the rental car counter and the lady says, "Well, it appears you have driven this car 3,000 miles. Now, I was new to Texas and knew it was big, but I had driven from Abilene. And had done it in a little under 3 hours. So, I was pretty sure that was wrong. We get that all worked out and I take the tram back to the terminal to go and find my car. Get to my car, and no key. I had dropped it somewhere. I'm now panicking and sweating, and that's not a pretty sight. So I start to backtrack my steps, knowing there is no way in the world I'm going to find this key and I'm not going to get to the game on time and I'm going to be fired and my career is over and I'll be living beneath an underpass. And then a glint of something on the ground catches my eye. It was the key. And so here I am today with you. If Rangers seek to trade players and rid themselves of the financial obligations, the returns are going to be lesser. They might be able to better leverage their trade assets such as Cole Hamels and Adrian Beltre if they are willing to pay most, if not all, of their remaining salary for the year. Consider this, come the All-Star break, Hamels will be due about $11 million for the remainder of the year. In addition, there is a $20 million option for 2019 or a $6 million buyout. Few teams can afford to add that weight to their payroll, and, if they aren't going to give up much. But, perhaps if the Rangers are willing to pay a more significant chunk of the remaining salary, they can demand more in return. It is one way teams can still kind of exploit the acquisition market for young players. With a cap on draft spending and international spending, teams have little latitude for maneuverability there. But when making a trade, there really isn't anything to stop the trader from paying more salary to exact a higher return. All that said, I expect the Rangers will be asking for pitching in trades. Young pitching that probably isn't at the big league level and isn't going to be here before 2019, more likely 2020 or 2021. It's all about the pitching. But with that in mind, consider last year when the Rangers traded Yu Darvish. They wanted a pitcher, Walker Buehler, or a center fielder, Alex Verdugo, from the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers were only willing to give up a hitter without a true position, Willie Calhoun, to headline the deal. In NFL, NBA or NHL, Connor Johnson, at Svedberg_Victor, May 21, 2018. Me, I don't have any favorite pro sports teams anymore. Paid to be an objective journalist, which means being able to report on teams without any bias. I do know, however, that I write mostly for fans of a team and I try to keep your interests in mind when engaging with you and when trying to come up with story ideas. I'm trying to think, what would most interest you? I'm from Atlanta originally. I grew up rooting for the Braves, Falcons, Hawks and Atlanta Flames. It was my town, my teams. I never quite got somebody who just arbitrarily picked a team, usually because said team was quite good, for whom to cheer. Still really don't. But who is your favorite team outside of the Rangers? I will admit to this, I'm an unabashed University of Georgia fan. Can't help myself there. Pull is just too strong. Go Dogs. Do you think we will see more small ball and less swing and miss? The YRS we played well, we seemed to have a different approach at the plate. They are on pace to shatter the team's strikeout record they set last year. They can't be successful swinging and missing as much as they do. I don't know what the definition of small ball is anymore. Used to be a hit or walk, an advance and then a sac bunt was mixed in there somewhere. Pretty much everybody agrees that giving away an out, especially early in a game, is a waste of a precious commodity. So, what does small ball entail now? I think there is use for the Rangers to bunt for hits more often earlier in games. There is more stressing of productive outs that advance a runner, again. And let me give you a stat, the Rangers lead the American League in the percentage of outs that are productive outs, 36. They are moving runners with less than 2 outs, but then, they aren't getting hits with 2 outs and guys in scoring position. The Rangers are emphasizing things that would lead to offensive production. The players either don't have the tools to act on them or are struggling to grasp them. Me, if I'm deciphering Fangraphs.com correctly on this, the Rangers entered the week having faced the second most total shifts, 528, accounting for the second highest percentage of plate appearances, 29.3, in the majors. Minnesota, 541 and 33.3, had faced shifts, listed as both traditional and non-traditional, in the majors. According to the database, there had been 15 major leaguers who had faced some degree of a shift in at least 90 plate appearances this season, led by Kansas City's Mike Moustakas at 133. The Rangers had 3 players with at least 90, Shin-Soo Choo, 108, Joey Gallo, 95, and Nomar Mazara, 90, so, the answer to your question would be in the affirmative. They're facing more shifts than most teams. Two months longer. Bile at @real_Bile, May 21, 2018. Me, you are talking about the major leagues, I believe. And there is no real guide to what constitutes fair chance or the lack thereof. It depends on the team's circumstances, the age of the pitcher, his minor league options and so on. In particular here, I think you are referring to Matt Moore, and the minor league options, age element, don't really have an impact on the decision-making process. What does? The complete lack of legitimate minor league options. Right now, Yohander Mendez and Ariel Jurado, the two most advanced prospects in the organization, aren't ready to compete on a every fifth-day basis in the majors. On top of that, there is no saving for this season for the Rangers. So, what you are left away is that will Matt Moore struggling hurt this team no more than anybody else, or will starting young guys who aren't ready hurt their development, far more risk involved. And so, for now, you have Matt Moore. Me, I can't be more emphatic on this. The only use I have for ranch dressing is for dipping cheddar fries. Preferably cheddar fries with some jalapeno, bacon and chives. Okay, one more. The jalapeno ranchito is ridiculously delicious on the Baja tacos and even for chips. But there is a common denominator here, jalapeno to spice up that buttermilk blandness. I've never heard of putting it on lasagna. I find it almost insulting to all of Italy. And if you did that in my house to my wife's beautiful layering of noodles, I would have to fight you.